When building projects, the last thing I even consider is optimizing for data. Brian Smith joins me on the stream to talk about how you can leverage QuestDB for financial models, as well as leveraging his sample project, which is collecting download data from NPM. Now, perhaps you don't mess around with crypto dashboards or develop on top of stock exchanges. If you're all interested in collecting large amount of data and having it correlated with a time series for perhaps your CPU usage while you're on stream, this is a stream for you. So I hope you enjoy. And rather than ramble about this product, I'm gonna actually have Brian explain this now. But could you give us a quick introduction of like what QuestDB is and like what folks would be using it for?
Sure. Yeah. So QuestDB is an open source time series database. And essentially, when you want to measure the change in any kind of data or information over time, that's basically all it is. So it's a lot more common than you would think. So most recognizable way that you would think of time series data is if you have a look at stock exchange and ticker data, where you're having a look at Apple's stock price over time. So this is basically time series data, mostly about performance and how efficiently you can store and then query and insert data.
Yeah, I mean, this is awesome. And like, I don't have any large projects or stuff like that has a massive amount of data, but I could definitely see projects that have a lot of interactions. We talked offline before this conversation about NPM and how many downloads. And then seeing popular libraries, packages, downloads per week. Like this is all kind of similar to financial data and kind of understanding, okay, Lodash has got 39 million downloads. When does all the downloads happen during the week? Does all the downloads happen at lunchtime? How long does it take?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you take a look at the stats panel here on the right, so you have, if you thought of most of the stats here are just the most recently known piece of information about this package, right? What version it is, how many files are in it. But the whole point of having a time series database is adding the historical context to it here. And if you were every hour or every day storing all of this in a time series database, then you could say, I want to know how many downloads happened for version 4.15. and how many files were in it at 4.0.
Yeah.
So this allows you to see how this project changes over time, but then also importantly to be able to guess what might happen next. So you could see, okay, we're having this has an inflection here. There's some explosive growth. Maybe this package could be the most popular NPM package. So it allows people also in ML to make predictions about trends in data as well. Yeah, and another thing that you were asking me for here is a repo for the session. So I put this under QuestDB, and there's an open source repo there.
So, excellent.
So there's a ton of examples. The one thing that we could take a look at is this node one here. This is a fairly basic one, where basically we're just checking the NPM API for any particular package. I've picked this the weeknum package.
Okay, excellent.
Which is one of yours, right? And then we're just getting some information about this, like the version, software version, how many downloads it has, how many stars on NPM. And probably the one thing that might be strange looking to a lot of viewers is how we actually insert the row, but I can go into a bit more detail.
Yeah, I'd be surprised to see if you see much data on this package. I use it once a week. I download it once a week, and so I wonder if that shows up in the data, and if anybody else is downloading it besides the one download a week. So Josh actually in the chat just mentioned React. React.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that should be in the millions for sure. So
yeah, I guess this is the most popular one, right? But I think if you were to run this maybe every 30 minutes, every 5 minutes, that might be a bit more interesting. Okay, so I have a table called NPM packages. QuestDB, then as a query language, we use SQL, and it's ANSI SQL as much as possible, as much as we can maintain compatibility with. And there's a few different extensions, language extensions for time series, but most of the queries that you would see are just plain SQL. So I think probably you would recognize or be able to read it. I think it's a great language for time series. So it's not something that I've ever studied because I don't have a formal computer science background, but as someone coming in from a self-taught perspective, I think it's super good because I can run some really nice and also advanced queries without having to spend an awful lot of time. I mean, most of it's in plain English, the query language. So
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about SQL yourself or how much you use it.
Very rarely. I always use an
Yeah.
ORM in front of it. Like I could write a SQL query if I had to, but it's been a couple years since I've actually had to do one from by hand.
Yeah. No, I quite like it. I quite like working with it. So I think this is a pretty good language to use. And also, there's some of the other options for time series databases. Some of the other systems use a custom query language that's just particular for their own system. And this can be a little bit tricky because then you have to learn something that's esoteric and a custom query language just to be able to use this database. So the benefit here of SQL is that if you already know SQL, there's not much of a learning curve at all. If you don't know it, there's a ton of resources out there to help you. So SQL's been around for nearly 50 years, I think. So nearly every corner of it has been well documented. And if you go to Stack Overflow for a particular problem or question, you get an answer pretty quickly. Okay, so that's our NPM packages table. Not super exciting because there's not a lot of change going, but what I thought could be nice to look at is some real-time data from my system.
And what is this data that you're going to be looking at?
So this protocol that we're using, Influx Line Protocol, one of the reasons that we added this is for compatibility with a lot of other tools. And there's one, or for people who are using InfluxDB mainly, but there's one tool called Telegraph that's built by Influx. And this one is like a collector, an agent that you can run on some machines, virtual machines, or your own machine in this case. And you can collect from either the system or from applications. And I think they have there's about 200 different inputs that it has. And then you can point this agent to write to some data store that accepts Influx Line Protocol. So this case, so this guy here, the QuestDB TCP conf, this is the configuration file for Telegraph. Basically what you do is you say every 5 seconds, it's like a global clock on this agent that you want this task to keep occurring. You want to read from the system CPU and memory. I can't remember what this system stats is, load on the server. I'm not entirely sure what happens if that's localhost. And then here you want to send it to some database that accepts Influx. So you can run it like this. You basically just pass the configuration file in. That's it. Then it starts collecting these metrics. And every 5 seconds, it will write this in a batch to the database. And then, okay, I have 2 new tables, CPU and mem. Select star from CPU. Okay, so also what you can do, some of the changes that we've made to SQL is that the select star from is also optional. So you can also just run CPU and you get the same results. Okay, so that's maybe also by itself not super interesting, but one thing that we can do is start to actually run some queries on it that are a bit more complicated, or actually tell some sort of insights.
Yeah.
So what if I want to select the average from, let's say, the system usage? I need the timestamp, right? Yeah, timestamp. Right. So I want to actually get, let's do 30-second aggregates, right? So the average, so now what we can do is start from the end of the query and say we want to sample the whole data set by 30 seconds. So we have the whole table in 30-second buckets. And then we want to get the average system usage of the CPU of those 30-second buckets, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
One thing that's nice about this one is that we can, actually draw this. So this charting functionality that's been added here, we haven't touched this a lot in the last couple of months, but basically you have the option to draw the results as either line graphs or bar charts. So this is a good way to do like a quick sanity check and see how the data actually looks like. Yeah, so this is, if you were to leave this running, so we have, this is what, 2 minutes or so?
Yeah.
If you have this running then continuously, this would be what, maybe a server that you're running somewhere. Then you would be able to run some analytics, like what times am I having spikes in CPU or memory? Can I correlate that to something else?
Yeah. This is great, and I know a lot of your customers are on the finance side, and that kind of is your bread and butter. But like, I could see observability platforms being able to leverage this data. So if I do have something running a VM in a cloud or whatnot, and I want to get this data ingested to be able to do postmortems on what happened, perhaps something went down, maybe something hit a peak, and you can actually go back and look at the history of it. I could see someone kind of leveraging this to build their own interactions in database and building their own stories from this.
Yeah, absolutely. So the one thing I like about using this Telegraph client is that it's very quick and very light to set up. So yeah, there's not much messing about apart from pointing it towards a QuestDB instance and telling it which inputs that you're interested in. And then already you have some system metrics streaming in to a database that you can run some analytics on. So I find it quite nice in that aspect that you have, there's not much friction to actually getting started with it. That's one of the things I like.
That's awesome too as well. And this remind me, this CPU example, is this also in that repo you shared, or is this something you pulled?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the repo, it's this guy, QuestDB That's the configuration file that you have to send to the Telegraph agent. And then this part here down at the bottom, the inputs. That's where you're saying you want the system, CPU, and memory and other statistics sent. But you can also, you can check out the docs for this Telegraph agent. You can pick different applications. I mean, maybe there's one for Twitch, I'm not sure, that could give you information about how many people are on a stream at a certain particular time. Yeah, there's a ton of different applications that you can grab metrics from and then stream those into QuestDB.
Yep. Yeah. The thing that we normally use, and this is something that I don't know if this is something that Twitch is working on. So inspector, it's inspector.twitch.com or Twitch Inspector. Sorry, I'm like typing on my own machine just to...
Sure.
Okay, inspector.twitch.tv. So it's run by Twitch, and it does exactly what I was talking about with less about like who's watching, but more about what's happening on the stream as we're doing it. It gives you just realistic data on what's happening. So whenever there's like drops or blips in the stream, you can see that within the data. So similar to what we just saw with your CPU usage, and then you had your line graph. They have something like a very similar expiration, being able to see. So like that little demo right there with the GIF, you can see like the red marks of like where stuff happened, and then that's like the series of data to be able to figure out
nice
what the deal is.
Yeah, so you can imagine a lot of the the most exciting applications of this are people who are running machine learning models on exactly this, what you see in this red block here.
Yeah.
So if you have a client that's constantly reading a stream like this and notices that there's a sharp uptick happening at some point, then it's very typical to run some sort of prediction model and say, oh, something's going to fall over pretty soon. And it also doesn't have to be a very complicated machine learning model. There's quite a lot of very good anomaly detection libraries and things that are not super heavyweight, that you can just drop into a Python script or something, and they'll be able to tell you, with a certain amount of certainty that you're going to hit this 99% CPU usage within the next 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, that is, so I've got metrics going on this stream right now, and I'm going anywhere between 10% to 30% CPU usage on this stream in particular. And this is data actually given to me by OBS too as well. So that's the similar data that Twitch is ingesting and then providing that inside of this inspector. But I mean, I don't work for QuestDB, you do. But like if there was like if you ever wanted to look outside the current markets that you're sort of winning in, being able to say, okay, I need to get, and sorry, I do DevRel. That's my day job. So I think of the DevRel angle of this. I can get 100 Twitch streamers to all use my QuestDB Twitch interaction. And then now they can just run this in the background and get data on every stream. Because what the problem with the inspector is that it doesn't capture historical data. This is like something you pull up while you're live on the stream. But if you wanted to have a database of all past streams and always improve based on, okay, well, this stream, we had 3 outages during the stream. Like either we hit peak or we lost frames or whatever. Those are opportunities for you to say, okay, well, when I shared my Zoom screen and also did this and ran a server, perhaps that was a little too much load. We should probably think about, second PCs or cloud environments and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, this historical aspect, helps with making good guesses about what's going to happen next. So that's I mean, that's a really good idea. I like it. So I'd be super interested to find out if there's a pipe from Twitch into QuestDB.
Yeah, I mean, definitely follow up with me, and like I'm happy to answer questions and help consult on this problem, because I mean, I say it because I would use this thing. I would use that exact feature. I'd use the NPM feature, and I don't have any financial models or anything like that, but if I was working in a financial company, I'd probably also use this for that too as well. Hopefully folks who watch this now, and then also folks who will watch this on the YouTube channel, they'll have a good understanding of like what is next and how they can use it. But also I want to ask, as far as what's next, how can folks get involved and start testing this out in their projects? Are there more tutorials that you can point them to?
Yes, yeah, of course. So the repo is QuestDB/QuestDB. That's the database itself. So make sure you go and check it out. We have, for contributors, we're of course labeling good first issues that we think are good to tackle, and that's also on the UI side that we took a look at. And then of course database design gets complicated in some areas. So if there's people who really want to dive into the deep end, there's a lot of fairly chunky issues there that people are welcome to tackle. But of course, we're interested in all kinds of contributions, and that's whether it's a typo or new UI additions or fixes or improvements, or how the protocols work or storage works. We're of course interested in all of that. In terms of tutorials, then we got qsb.io/tutorial. Most of these are community contributed, actually. I've written 1 or 2 of them, but most of these are from the developer community. Yeah. We have 3 contributors who are like our star contributors who have written a lot about these, but of course it's a lot of different subjects. So you can see there's crypto, There's one general database comparison one. This most recent one is Telegraph, showing how to run QuestDB on DigitalOcean and use two Telegraph clients to send monitoring and observability metrics. There's more crypto, Ethereum, streaming blockchain data to QuestDB. Yeah, there's quite a lot. I think we have over 25 tutorials there. So there's probably something that will get you going in whatever your favorite subject is, I would hope. And if not, then let us know. Maybe there's something we're missing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm loving it. And I was gonna ask about the crypto thing because the financial thing in crypto, it seems like there's a lot of developers in that space, so it makes sense to see the Bitcoin and the Ethereum one.
Yeah. So we have people who are using QuestDB to analyze historical data. So one of the features that makes QuestDB stand out mostly over others is performance. So we're focused on high performance in a lot of ways, and that means we can give you extremely fast results on historical data or very large data sets. So we have people who are analyzing 40 years worth of data or who are analyzing terabytes worth of real-time data. So you can imagine why, if you're able to make averages or aggregates or run machine learning models on terabytes of financial data, why having it be faster would give you an edge. So of course, yeah, we have a lot of people who use us for that, and there's a lot of features of the system that we've built to help out with people working with financial data.
Well, thanks for the demos and the introduction too as well. Hopefully,
Sure.
yeah, I'd love to keep in touch because I mean that Twitch idea, I'd love to see some sort of even naive implementation sort of fed to it. Speaking of your community, do you all have a Discord or something else that folks are collaborating on?
We have a Slack channel at the moment, so
Okay.
it's slack.questdb.io,
Got it.
and community Slack. Yeah, it's right here. So that's everybody's welcome to join there. That's questions about how do I get started from to deeply technical questions. So all of our engineering team are on there and helping out with all kinds of questions.
Okay, sounds good. Well, again, Brian, thanks so much for the introduction. I'm looking
Not a
forward to actually
problem.
kicking the tires around your open source demo too as well. So I'm gonna clone that
Yeah.
and check it out. And
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing some of the open source community also kick the tires on that and provide feedback.
Definitely.